So good evening. Welcome to this presentation. I can see we are three of us. Lauren, where are the others? Unmute and
we are three in total.
mhm.
So one of us is currently not in because she's not feeling well.
That's a lie.
No, but she's yet to join. She has gone for some drugs.
So you are a group comprising of 4 people?
We are three.
No, the whole group comprises of 3 people.
Okay, we were allocated 5 people.
Where are the
But
other 2?
The 2, we don't know them. They just added themselves in the group.
That's not normally how. That's not normally how we have been doing these things.
We don't know them, and they've not made any effort to reach us.
I can see the other name has dropped, Nelly. Are you the Nelly or somebody? Somebody. We were 3, now we only 2. Me and you.
I'm Lauren. I think Nelly is the network problem.
Network, yuko wapi? Yuko Egerton.
Ako tunaishi nje wote.
So advise, do we continue or?
We just continue. I think she'll join.
This is not the start I had anticipated, because this was meant to be a very important exercise, in terms of us agreeing with on the parameters of how we'll conduct our research. So if they are not here and you're the only one, I don't know. Will you be the prophet to tell them the good news or the not so good news, or what do we do?
We just continue, because I'm sure they'll join in just minutes, because Nelly is the one who have informed me to join already. I think it's the network problem with her.
No, I saw her name and then all of a sudden I'm no longer seeing her here.
She's to join. Let's just continue. I'm sure she'll join.
So of course, you are meant to have a critical output at the end of the semester. I'm imagining your 4th year first semesters, yeah?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm asking that because I don't want to be shocked the way I was this semester that has just ended, me realizing that I'm actually dealing with people who are completing. So if you are 1st year, 4th year, first semester, at least we have a bit of time to do some good work. And I believe this is just a exercise that will just be serving to remind you of what you went through in, I don't know whether it is still 350, these codes do change, and as we do get old, and as getting old, we still stick to the codes that we are accustomed to. So I'm imagining it is still 350, the one you're taught by Kalio, right?
The research?
Yes.
It was 340.
Oh, it is 340. This one is 440 or 450?
We've not been told how it is called, but this research method was 340.
Okay, so this is just a reminder. I think what I'm just doing here is to remind you in terms of how Kalio taught it. Those one will be your main chapters. Maybe you have a paper and pen. You might want to write them somewhere.
Okay, let me.
So these are your main chapters, both for proposal to the left and project. So thesis, but you guys are doing project to the right. But this, I think you have these notes anyway. So I think what we'll just be doing today is basically what I expect in chapter 1, how you arrange it, how you structure it, and all that. Yeah, okay. So of course, preliminaries, chapter 1, chapter 2, I think just write in shorthand somewhere so that so that we can continue. preliminaries, chapter 1, chapter 2, 3 for proposal, work plan, budget, references, and if you have an appendix, you'll be using a questionnaire, for example. So I would expect that you'll have maybe your questionnaire as part of the appendix. At a higher level, there is maybe sometimes you use things like maps. What have I used in my PhD work? I've put my model, my main model there, because it never fitted in the main body. So whatever you think that cannot fit in the chapter, but you think it is important, normally is part of the appendix. To your right, you have preliminaries, chapter 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you'll notice that, of course, proposal has 3 chapters. And of course, your project will have 5 chapters. The difference being that after chapter 3, you'll basically go to the field to do some what? Collection of data, isn't it?
Yes.
After which now in chapter 4, you shall now be reporting what you collected. And of course, in chapter 5, you shall be giving the conclusions. Of course, you can see references and appendix just as similar to what we did before. And I don't know whether this link still works. No, it doesn't work, which means that at some point I might have moved this document. But if you go to the website, you can just write no, this is not even bugs, but it's bugs graduate school guidelines for proposal. There's a very, very good document there that can actually guide you in actually farming up what you expect in these sections of your proposal and thesis. So what do we expect in your preliminaries in that order? The title page.
The title.
Just it's there. You can see it. You can see it on the screen. Lauren.
Yes.
You can see what is there on the screen.
Yeah, I'm seeing it.
Yeah, so you'll just let me just lecture and then you can repeat. Let me even mute you so that I spare you the energy. I'll just give you the need to talk maybe later. So the title page, declaration and recommendation page, the abstract, table of contents, list of tables. If you have figures at this level, you normally don't expect figures, but if you have, that's where to put them. List of abbreviations and acronyms, right? So those components from that up to there is what I expect to see in your preliminary pages, or the preliminaries. Title page, declaration and recommendation, abstract, table of contents, list of tables, list of figures, if any, and list of abbreviations. Always paginated in Roman numerals, as opposed to the rest of your work, which you shall find being paginated in the Arabic numerals, the normal 1, 2, 3, and so on, up to the last page. So that's basically what I expect to be in preliminaries. Maybe I hope you are writing in them somewhere, so that or maybe I can send you this video at the end so that you can have it. But at this time, I expect that both of you will just be writing them somewhere, just to basically be in touch with what I expect to see as part of your work. So I'm continuing with your permission. Ukiona kama I'm too slow, please andika mahali ama there is also the chat function in your gadget which you're using. You can tell me whether I'm fast or I'm slow in my presentation. Chapter 1, what does chapter 1 contain? And it has to be in exactly this manner and in exactly this way. Academia requires a lot of discipline on both the part of the supervisor, but most critically on the part of the student, or the person who is being supervised. So background information, statement of problem, objective of the study, hypothesis or research questions, justifications, scope, limitations, assumptions, definition of terms, and expected outputs. In that form, in that manner, you'll be amazed that in Egerton, there are so many disciplines being taught in Egerton, but all proposals at the higher level, you find them differing very little in terms of these section headings in the proposals and also in the thesis. So this will be my expectation up to and until this numbering here. Don't ignore them. I expect to see them in exactly this way or in this manner, right? 15, 16, 17, up to 18. So that is a sequence which they should be following one another. And maybe you have this, maybe Professor Kalio taught you these things, but it doesn't harm for us to just do a quick rehash of them so that to see Kosani, and then I start wondering whether Professor Kalio is also my good friend, taught these things well. I know he's a very unique, well-accomplished person, and he teaches this and he teaches it very, very well. So this is basically how I expect to see it. No deviations at all. You people, you take liberties. I've been supervising since 2009, and students will take liberties and give us headings that should not be headings. And sometimes something that should be a heading, you fail to put it as a heading. But this is actually how I expect your chapter 1, no ifs, no buts, up to even including, and I'm repeating for the second time, that numbering at the end of the day. And actually in small letters, this one. Only the chapter headings. Kama chapter 1, inatakikana ikuwe chapter 1, 1 space, and then introduction. Hizi zingine subsection headings na kuanga bold. This should be in bold and in small letters, as you can see here. I know there's always a need to impress your lecturer with screaming headings. Sometimes we are not really impressed, because at the end of the day, we know what to know and we know what to look for, we know what to expect. And this is basically how we expect your work to look at the end of the day. So that's chapter 1. What do I expect in chapter 2? Chapter 2, just 3 sections. In fact, that inaweza kuwa tu just 2.1, 2.2. I don't know why I never wrote the numbering, and 2.3. There's empirical, by the way, actually, hata inatakikana uanze na hii. It's not the empirical literature, but so you start with the theory and then you do the empirical. If you'll allow me to just even make that correction, because it's important. This should be here. Then this one should be down here, so that at least I can emphasize that that order at the end of the day, how it should be. So that will be 2.1, that will be 2.2, that will be 2.3. Of course, 2 for the chapter, and of course 1 will basically be indicating of the section that you'll be important about. So you start with the theory. You know, research is grounded on theory. So hizi huwezi niambia unataka kufanya research and then nikikuuliza theory unasema not very important. Mimi nataka tu kusema kuongea juu ya hii. It doesn't make sense. It's never made sense. It will never make sense, because if there is an economics as a body of knowledge, kama hii donut ambayo iko hapa ama mandazi ni economics, your work, if we can call this Loren's work, na hii Loren unajua mnaispell mara mingi sana, so let me use the spelling that first comes to my head. there has to be that attachment with the body, what we call the body of knowledge that people recognize as economics, because there are many theories in the world. And there are theories that are economic theories, and there are theories that are non-economic. Okay, any theory that is not economics, we can call it non-economic theory. Kwa hivyo huwezi enda kwa physics alafu useme ya kuwa ati I want to ground my my research on astrophysics, theory in astrophysics, uncertainty principle, or something like that. No, I'll tell you that's not economics. That's which you want to do can never be economic. So you have to tell us that if it's demand, theory of demand, for example, I'm basing my theory, my work on the theory of demand. And then you tell us blah, 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 theory of demand, blah, 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 price, increase, demand either increases or decreases this way. Yeah, according to so and so, this is what he wrote, this is what they wrote, this is what they found. And then you now ground your work. That actually me as an academic who has studied economics, I should be reasonably satisfied that actually this is an economics work. And you know, in economics, in fact, you need to be very, very careful because we have our sister disciplines. You know, in town, we have things like commerce. We have things like even finance. Many aspects of management, right? Business studies, and so on and so forth. And even them, they have their own theories. But there are theories that are economics. They were originated by economists. And they are economic because actually they actually speak to what essentially is economics. So I don't expect you to go and get a theory from these ones and then you come and tell me, oh, I'm grounding my work on this. I'll tell you that is finance, commerce, or management, or business studies, or something. That is not economics. Accounting, for example, if they have theories, I don't know whether they do or they don't. So you have to ground it in an economic theory. And right now, your entry-level behavior is such that by the time you're in fourth year, the expectation is that you will have learned quite a lot of theories in your year 1, year 2, year 3. So right now is now when now you need to throw that back to us and tell us that when I learned about the theory of demand, sikuwa nalala kwa class. When I learned about theory of the farm, I wasn't looking at the most handsomest person in the class or the most beautiful girl in the class and so on and so forth. Right now is one now when you have to give me that, for example, unapologetically. Empirical literature review simply means that there are people who have written on that theory or the topic similar to yours. So mnaenda na mnaniambia huyu aliandika hii, found this. Huyu aliandika hii, found this. Huyu aliandika hii, found this. And especially in terms of your main variables. Namata wache nitoe hata jina main tu niandike tu your variables under consideration. Okay, so you'll want to give a story about it. Conceptual framework, as you know, is just a diagrammatical representation of how you see these variables working. And basically, it's actually also grounded in the theory. So I don't expect you to give me a conceptual that is not supported by your theoretical literature and empirical literature. Hii ndio saa unasema ya kuwa, according to my research, I think these relationships between this what are they called? The relationships between these variables is such as to render the relationship between maybe the dependent variable and the independent variables to be either, say, a positive relationship or a negative relationship. And for this reason, na nikirudi back na nione kwa theoretical literature, it has to be supported by the same. Okay. I'm just rehashing. Maybe I'm even boring you guys because these are things that you will have learned in 340. So it's just a rehash with it. Chapter 3 now is a methodology. How will you collect data? How will you actualize your study? And so you shall see that it has those sections, 3.1 up to 3.7, research design, study area, sample size determination, sampling technique, data collection and analysis, and your analytical framework. Okay. So research design, what is the main research design? Okay, actually, what is your research design? Right, will it be qualitative, quantitative? I'm just asking these questions. Will it be sample survey? Will it be what they call mixed methods? Okay. Will it be, as we said, qualitative? For example. So you go back now to internet, and you people, you live in a good time when you can just do your research in your room without even leaving, or in your house without leaving, because you have these resources. As long as you have bundles, you can always do 1, 2, 3, right? What is your study area? Talk about it. How will you determine your sample size? Because you are not conducting a census, you have to talk about your sample size. What is your main sampling technique? You did these things in ECON 233, so I know that you know them, right? How will you collect data? And what is your analytical framework, for example? Right, analytical framework is just a framework of your main variables and how you intend to analyze them in chapter 4 and chapter 5 at the end of the day. Right? Those are the 3 components of a proposal. Right? This is what we call a work plan. And this is actually how I expect you to arrange them using what normally we call the Gantt chart. You can research about this in your free time, the Gantt chart, so that you can know. You can see the list of activities in the column as rows, and then we have the times in the column, and then now you can now be saying that this is how I expect my work to be. And in this spirit, Lorraine, after sitting with your people, please send me this Gantt chart, latest, today is Tuesday, latest on Thursday. Send it to me in this format. As you can see, you can say that maybe in May, we expect to have developed our proposal. We expect to go to data collection this day. We expect to manage our data this way. We expect to prepare our manuscript this way, and then final submission to your supervisor at this time. As I said, the good luck you have is that now you have 2 semesters rather than 1. So you can be a bit more deliberate in this compared to your fellow students, especially the people who have just supervised, I think just got a raw deal. Kabisa, because even I was just learning literally 2 weeks to the exam that I need to be a bit faster with them. So we had to rush with them very much. And even if you had friends there, they'll tell you, I don't think it was a very good exercise for them. And even me, I feel guilty because I like this process and I like mentoring you people, so that at the end of the day, when you go do your master's, you have at least an idea of how to conduct research. I wish I was in a university that had this research project. And I always tell my students that, because when I was now registering for my master's and now I had to do research, personally, I was literally groping in the dark in terms of what to do. Ni ile unafikiria unafanya, supervisor either akuambie no or yes, or what sort of a dummy you are, and so on and so forth. But you people, I trust, after going through this exercise, and more critically, because we are beginning it early enough, you have this luxury of doing it at leisure and doing it well, arguably. Okay. So that's what I expect from you, Lauren. Please, let's not about that. By Thursday, put your people together. And in addition to the topic that you will have thought about, let me have this Gantt chart by Thursday, I believe. Very easy to make. You have 6 months you can play with. Okay, budget, of course. These are just my example of the budget I used for my PhD work last year. But maybe this is just an example of how you might come up with the column of our budget. I don't expect yours to be this detailed, unless you have a Sonko in the group who can give you maybe 1.2 million. I don't expect you people to have it this detailed, but this is just an example of a budget, right? So of course, having items and their costing and the total. For example, description, units, cost per unit, total. Of course, this one just being that times that times that, that times that, that times that, and so on and so forth. Right? And then, of course, referencing. Referencing, you use this, please. And I'll be very keen on this because this is where the world is heading. So if you have not written anything, please write this somewhere. And you'll research on it and you see how to do it. I'll be very, very keen on it, how you do it. APA referencing edition 7. That is basically how expect your referencing to be. So Lorraine, you'll research about it in your own free time. And of course, once you start doing the references, I'd expect them to actually really conform to that. Of course, when you talk about a thesis or in your case, a project, we have chapter 4 and chapter 5, and you'll come up with your specific objectives. So chapter 4 is always organized according to your objectives. So if you have objective 1, it occupies 4.1 or 4.2. Sometimes here, I don't like this introduction, but Egerton seems to be really wedded to for every chapter having an introduction. So I yield. So that objective 1, objective 2, objective 3, if you have n objectives up to, of course, even objective n will just basically be organized that way. So here is not a place whereby you will be told that, you know, the other ones I was telling you, these are the headings. Chapter 1, these are the headings I expect to see. Chapter 2, these are the headings I expect to see. Same with chapter 3. But here, your headings will be informed by your objectives. Okay, and I shall teach you, of course, how to make these headings, time allowing. But of course, the chapter is formally titled Results and Discussion. That is actually how you title it at the end of the day. So it will be chapter 4. And then results and discussion. The way you can see it here, the way it is written, you don't change anything in capital letters and in bold at the top of a new page, of course. Okay. Right. So chapter 5, those are the headings for chapter 5. Conclusions. After you have given us all the pangangas in chapter 4, what do you conclude? And of course, you are a good academician, you are an intellectual, you have to come up with new policy. So what are you recommending as the policy? So you'll see that this chapter is formally named chapter 5, right? The name is there, conclusion and policy recommendation. Yeah, it can be more than one, so even the S there makes sense. Okay, of course, in your case, these are projects, so I expect that to be the components of a project, but it can equally work with thesis. So what are the points to note? And these ones will be led by the document that I told you. If you go to the Egerton website, you go to the Board of Postgraduate Studies website, you shall get these ones, this advice. But maybe just to just emphasize on a few things. From the first word to the last, font should be Times New Roman. Font 12. Kama ni hiyo iko hapo. Line spacing 1.5. Okay. This other one, I'll leave it. I'll be a bit more flexible in it as the G part. If you want to indent it or not, I leave it to you. I'll not really kill myself if you do it in a way different to that, but that is the recommended one in so far as our postgraduate studies board is concerned. So maybe before I go to abstract, I wish to open and I ask if you have any questions so far. Lorraine, any question? Lorraine?
I don't have any question, but I would like you to send us the record like you said.
You'd wish to see the record?
Yeah, the record you said you sent.
Okay. So, Nelly, do you have a question? Unmute. Nelly?
No.
So what is no?
I don't have a question.
Because you know, in this world, and I've been in academia long enough to know you don't take these things for granted, right? So your no can mean a yes can mean a no, but if you're good, I'm also good. Okay, let's continue then. Abstract. I'm giving you this because I find people writing their things. I think Kikuyus, they call it madogodanios. So I always find it in myself that there is a technique in writing an abstract, and it could be that Dr. Kalio, Professor Kalio, he's been a professor, so we are still getting used to calling him a professor, and he's normally a very chill man, so he doesn't mind it either way. That is how I expect your abstract to look, both for the proposal abstract to your left and your thesis or a project abstract to your right. You'll just find a few differences in the two, right? An introductory statement, we call it oomph because, and you guys being ladies, you know, nyinyi ni watu wa kutesa, right? So wakati mnaingia mahali, you always wish to be noticed. You want to enter with oomph. That is what I expect to see in your abstract. But at the end of the day, it has to have that first sentence or two. It has to be something that attracts. Academia is boring enough as it is without introducing more ugliness in it. So the way to attract is to actually start with a very powerful statement. As powerful as you can master at that particular time, right? And then your general objective, 1 or 2 sentences in this. Actually, that's basically what this should be meaning. 1 or 2 sentences, 1 or 2 sentences. Yeah, and then general objective, specific objective, main research instrument, main sampling strategy, proposed research design, main model. You are economists, so I'd expect you to do some econometrics at the end of the day. For proposal, you'll be talking about the main expected outcome because you have not gone to data analysis, right? And then maybe the expected, the main expected outcome. You shall see similarity there, 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 and there, there. But now here they'll not be similar. Here you'll realize that there is a difference. Here we'll be talking about the expected outcome because you have not gone to the data. But for project, you'll already have gone to the field you collected your data, you'll be having a result. So what is the main result? If you are doing determinants of demand, and if you know the theory of demand is about the inverse relationship between price and demand, does your data support that? And if it doesn't support, why? Okay. If you are doing a study about normal goods, and you know normal goods is about income and demand, is it a normal good or is it an inferior good at the end of the day? So here is where now you give us that main result in a sentence or two, and then main policy recommendation. Okay. The main distinction between not only abstract, but actually the whole of your work comes in terms of that thing at the lower side there. Proposal, future tense, right? Like in all proposals, nobody proposes by saying you married me. You say, will you marry me? Future tense. I will marry you. I will not marry you. Okay. So future tense. And then for project, you use past tense because you've already gone to collect data. Data is the equivalent of marriage, the wedding day, the data collection. After you've collected, now you're already married. Now you talk about, I propose to you this day or this time. Now you're now talking in past tense at the end of the day. Yeah, why am I saying abstract is like a miniskirt? You guys, you have miniskirts in your wardrobes. Me, I don't. Don't know whether it's a good thing or not. But here we are just saying that abstracts must have the same characteristics as a miniskirt, short enough. Actually, it's just normally say it is short enough to arouse interests, right? But at the same time, we say it must be long enough to cover the essentials. So I don't know what these essentials are, but in the context of your work, it has to be things that everything that I should read your abstract and I understand your work, even without going to the details of your work. That is basically the similarity between these two. It has to be, it has basically be complete in itself. So that even when I go to your work, I'll be going to your work with some key expectations, and those expectations will have been aroused by the abstract at the end of the day. Right? A compact summary of your proposal, right? Should be a synopsis giving the gist of the whole work. So that is basically the completeness that we are talking about, that it has to be complete actually. Should read it, and then actually we normally read, and even right now, of course, I'm writing my thesis, so I'm doing analysis, talk writing. And in writing, you read a lot. So far, I think I must have read not less than 400 items, be they books, be they journals, be they everything. So you can imagine reading this, and if you have to read from the first page to the last, it will be impossible. But the beauty is that if there is an abstract, and if it's well written, when I'm doing my research, I just need to read the abstract and I say, I need this article, or I don't need this article because it really doesn't do it for me. So that's basically the completeness that an abstract brings to the table at the end of the day. And that was the last thing. Now, one thing that I'll promise you, I'm a hard taskmaster, right? I'm a hard taskmaster, and tukishakaa chini na tukubaliane, I expect that thing to be done. And if it's not done, I expect good reasons as to why it has not been done, and what is the way forward. Normally, I expect us to meet at least once a week, and I'll give even Lorraine that chance to even give me the date. we'll agree on the date, so that at the end of the day, we normally have at least an hour. I just need an hour with you people, so that normally we can rehash where you are, what challenges you are getting, nani anasumbua nani, and all that, so that at the end of the day, we have something that is good. I don't just put my signature to trash. I put my signatures on things that are good at the end of the day. So I expect a lot of discipline on your part, a lot of cooperation. A good thing is that nowadays you do this thing in group form. So you learn about teamwork, you learn about working with others, you learn about working together for the realization of a goal that at the end of the day, we will see it and appreciate it to be a greater goal than you. So utoto tuache nje, and I'm talking about this because I experience this every semester. So I'm not saying that you are there, but I'm saying that no, hapa sasa ni kazi. This is now the kipindi cha lala salama. Let's do some good work. It's quite possible anyway, and it has happened before, and I normally don't tire of telling my students, in the same group, a guy can get an A, and Nelly can get an F, or the other way around. Lorraine can get an F, Nelly can get an A. It just depends on how you work, how you cooperate. Your team leader just needs to come and tell me that so-and-so is not cooperating. And I'll just give you back to the supervisor or the coordinator. And nimwambie either you reassign to another supervisor, maybe our Kiswahilis are not really rhyming, or you can tell him or her to come next semester and to restart the whole process again with the other year. And the only reason that this will happen is if you fail to really adhere to my work. I do my things differently. Don't ask the other people that nanyi supervisor wenu anawafanyia aji, anasema ya kuwa, sisi hata tujaona supervisor na muone tuko sawa. And then you start thinking that Mr. Nyanjong is being tough. I told you, I am unapologetically very, very invested in this project. Now, I can tell you, I have a lot of work. I'd rather not even have been doing this now. But such is the importance that I attach to this, that I think that we should do good work. And the only thing you owe me is just your presence and your full cooperation in the same. Ask questions when you are not sure. Wherever you're not sure, ask questions, engage me, engage your group members. Make sure you work and you do some good work. I'm a bit afraid that this time you people were allowed to watu tu wanaingia tu kwa group. It has been done a bit differently the mini semester, and the only way I am afraid about it is just because I think some of you will just be letting the others down, and especially if you get people who are not serious. So maybe, Lorraine, you might want to vet those people and to make sure that actually there are people who will basically be adding value to your group. And if not, we can actually force them to add value to your group. Comments, Lorraine? Questions?
Okay, we have the third. I don't have any comment or any question, but there is this third.
I'll tell you for a fact that I'm normally very afraid for that if I hear that, because I've been talking for 50 minutes. I'd expect at least you to be curious about one thing or another. But this is the first class, I'll forgive you. But in the future, at least I'd expect you people to be a bit more curious in terms of asking this, asking that. That's the only way we can move. It cannot be that you are coming to research and then you're like, I don't have any question. No, is it that you are not understanding or something is the issue? That is what I remain with as a point of concern. So with this class, I can let it go, but in the future, I would expect you to be more curious about some of these things. Maybe clarify here, Mwalimu, I never understood this and that. Nelly, any question, any issue, comment?
I don't have a question, but it has been a good section, and at least we have now familiarized with ourselves with what you're expecting of us. Yeah.
Nothing about the last 40 minutes that has aroused your curiosity. Ama hizi ni vitu mulifanya sasa mnazijua. Which is which?
Some of them.
Lorraine.
Okay, it's not like you know them, but at least you're familiar with them. So with the time, I think we have enough to question.
Okay, I like that. So it's a question of you just going, be curious, read whatever you don't know. Nowadays, I tell you, things are a bit easy. I've done the whole of my PhD without stepping to a library. And I've liked it that way simply because the resources are there. And if you know where to look for the resource, things become that bit easier. So cooperate, share even the bundles, ule ambaye ana bundles asaidie mwenzake. Hizo ni vitu ambazo Lorraine, I expect you to be the leader, Lorraine, isn't it?
I'm with Faith, the third person.
You are there?
I'm with the Faith, the third member.
You are the leader, but because you are the one who contacted me, so I'm assuming you are the group leader.
Yeah.
Yeah, so set up a WhatsApp group.
I will.
Set up a WhatsApp group in the next 1 hour or so. Normally, when you are setting it up, I expect a unique name to be used. So you can maybe have a discussion with your group members and say, maybe Lorraine is called Lorraine. I'll show you an example of how the other groups that have been doing them. So we have Faith, we have Lorraine, we have Nelly. So you can come up with such a name or something. I don't want to restrict you to this. This becomes very, very important because even your document, once you start developing it, my expectation is that you shall be sticking to that name. And it is important because I think maybe by the end of this week, I'll be having 4 or 5 groups to supervise. And it's important for me to realize that wakati mnanitumia kwa email, and this is my email, that you shall be using, ikue ya kuwa. And this is actually some of the question I expected you people to ask. What is your email, Mwalimu? How will we be working? So that's why I told you that I was a bit worried when I'm not seeing those questions coming up. So anyway, it is late in the day. Maybe you are tired, right? That is my email. You'll be using this. What I'll normally be doing after reviewing it, I'll now be writing the date of the review. I'll just be writing for long. Maybe today is siku ya Stella, kurudi Kenya. So I'll be writing it like that, docx, and then I'll be throwing it back to you. So our communication will be strictly online, and kutakuwa na ati document mtakuwa mna print mnaletea. No, it'll just be online. I normally endeavor to make the turnaround time to be as fast as possible. Those who have supervised, I'll tell you, I even stress them, I think, because sometimes they send, and even before they have taken their tea, I've already reviewed and I've already sent it back. But that's a kind of work, and that's the kind of commitment I do have, but equally, that's the kind of commitment I'll be expecting from you in terms of even just making the corrections and throwing it back to me at the end of the day. So I think we have canvassed everything. just start the WhatsApp ikuwe na hii jina ama hiyo jina ambayo you shall come up with. Na hata hapo is where now you shall be dropping the what? Even the Gantt chart that I told you I expect it by Thursday. And of course, even if you have a problem, sasa wewe Lorin ndio utaniambia now maybe we can have the next Zoom meeting so that we can discuss this problem to see whether it is an economic problem or not, or this title or topic, so that to see how economic it is at the end of the day. Any other question before we call it a day?
Okay, about the topic. So if we are ready with the topic, we send it through WhatsApp, or we.
Are you ready right now?
Yeah, we had two.
Give me. Throw them to me.
Right now.
Yes.
Wait, just a second. The first one was.
Yes.
An investigation to the role of small and medium enterprises in an economy, a case study.
Just a minute. Let's write them down, so that we can see how appropriate or otherwise. Let us write them down. So say it.
An investigation to the role of small and medium enterprises.
An investigation on
the role of small and medium enterprises in an economy.
The
role of small and medium enterprises in an economy, a case study of Njoro market.
And two.
An investigation to the factors affecting labor market conditions.
An investigation of?
Factors affecting labor market conditions in Nakuru County, a case study of Njoro market.
So say Njoro market. Who blessed you with the Njoro market?
Boy, we'll make one.
Just say it. Just say it again. An investigation of
factors affecting labor market conditions in Nakuru County, a case study of Njoro market.
Why Njoro market?
We'll narrow it down to
why Njoro market?
Okay, it
because
has.
It seem to be ni kama kuna mmoja wenu iko na shares huko.
No, it just has some good geographical data.
And what do you mean by Njoro market? Do we have any geographical phenomenon by that name really?
Njoro has.
We have somewhere like mtu anatokanga anasema naenda Njoro market. Njoro market can mean, because it's not a formal name, it can mean anything. It can mean actually where by saying Jokerio, you are the person who has even piqued my curiosity. It can mean even the market in Jokerio. It can mean the market in near Posta. It can mean market in Nicewet. Because Nicewet is still in Njoro. If you go to Kihingo, it's still in Njoro.
That's why I'm saying we'll narrow it down to Jokerio. We'll narrow it down to Jokerio.
Of the two, I would be more interested in the first one than the second.
Okay.
Because when you talk about labor markets, I'm imagining that these are skills that with the training that you've had right now, you might have a bit of a problem legislating it successfully up to the point of completion. But when you talk about SMEs, I imagine that you can go to a certain place now, you'll interview the mama duka, mama mboga, the so-called hustlers, and you come up with some good study based maybe on the theory of the markets also. Not that the second one cannot, and I'm happy actually that this time maybe more rarely than commonly, I normally get people starting from a non-economic position and then we narrow it down to an economic position. But these problems, I'm happy because they look to be quite well grounded in economic theory, even just by reading them, and you can do justice to it. So I would wish to, with conditions, right? And please get me right, with conditions, and with the critical conditions, give an okay to the first problem rather than the second. Okay.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
as I said, with conditions, because we'll still need to talk about it. I really want to suss out that this is something that you people, you can do it within the time frame that we have. Ama kuna mtu ambaye alikuwa analilia ya pili. Kama if you can defend it, you know, in academia, you just defend your position. Lorraine.
Yes.
You sound to be a bit disappointed by me okaying the first one.
No, we were in fact very comfortable with the first one.
So you are comfortable with the first one?
Yeah.
Okay, so by that same token, I'll okay the first one. Now what you do, you have now the topic, now come up with what we call, what do we call it? Up this so that maybe let me just stop sharing and give the Nini, share with you the whiteboard. Mnakumbuka hii hesabu? Mnakumbuka hizi hesabu?
Yes.
The beauty of economics, it doesn't change. So come up with the, you can start developing these three things. Statement of problem. General objectives. And specific objectives. And then we see how it goes. Sawa sawa.
Yeah.
Ama niwaambie tu mu develop chapter 1 in general. What do you think is more fruitful between the two?
We can start with the three: the statement of the problem, general and objective, and then
specific objectives.
Yeah,
it's the way to go, because what I like about it is that I normally don't like this thing of students giving topics. Actually, at a higher level, you'll be told you actually start from here, right? Because what happens is that actually titles do change. And there is actually quite possible that even the title I'm using right now is not the title that will end up being the last title. And I've been working on my work since 2019. 3 years back. So actually what I have right now at best is what is known as a working title. It changes. So sometimes it's a bit misleading for people to say, bring a topic and then I can tell you whether you can do the research or not. No, serious researchers actually begin from here, problem statements. But anyway, we are learning, so you can actually relax some of these requirements at a higher level. I can assure you, if you have a serious supervisor, they'll tell you first develop a problem. The title, we can always change it at a given time. So I'm happy that we are agreed on that. Any last statements, Lauren?
We are okay now.
Hmm?
I'm okay.
Learn to thank. Learn to be grateful. Sawa sawa. Lauren.
I'm sorry.
Always learn to thank, always learn to be grateful, because it's not every time that people do this. So it's always good to acknowledge as a leader, and you are a leader of this group. Learn to thank, learn to be grateful. Nelly, last thing before we go.
I think I'm okay right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Lauren, you shall set up the nini. I want to know the other 5 people. Hata wakati ambao mnatengeneza hii nini. Please, maybe the first task is for you to put the names, your official names and your official registration numbers on the WhatsApp. Put my name there, you have my number, Lauren, so that now we can now start hitting the ground running. And as I said, sitafadhali, please, people cooperate. Nelly, when you're the only member here, cooperate with Lauren. And that goes with even the other ones that will join you. I'll expect total cooperation, and please make that very, very clear to them. Lauren, if she's the leader, you cooperate with her. Lauren, ukiambia mtu afanye kitu, akifanye. Pahali ambapo hawezi kifanya, akuambie. And you just need you to tell me that so and so is giving me a problem. And that person is gone. Kama alikuwa ametayarisha mbuzi December, itabidi ahairishe hiyo graduation or something. That's how serious I am with this thing. Because at the end of the day, I'm always happy when I go out there and the students tell me, I think I got something out of that exercise. And I think I got something out of that exercise. Otherwise, why are we here? Why are we doing it at the end of the day? So that's one thing that I think, even in your meetings, that has to come out very, very clearly. Teamwork. Lauren, where come a leader, be wise, lead people well, but also the other people, I'll expect Bobo critically to cooperate with you. Na si ati kitu ambacho hapo hakutakuwa na tafadhali. These things are, it's not, we don't do them out of, we are just ticking off some boxes. We do them because sometimes we are passionate about some of these things. And because you people are intellectuals, you are future intellectuals, you just have to work. You don't have any luxury but to do it well at the first instance. So without any further ado, I think all of you have reported you are okay. I end this meeting. Lauren, please put up the WhatsApp. I'll expect it within the next 1 hour with the member names included therein. And then on Thursday, I expect now to have met with the group and come up with the list of activities. Musururu of activities. Kama kutakuwa na shida, I'm just a phone call away. So you guys have a nice evening.
Thank you, and you too.